Hey everybody, here's a match with myself and Ren Nerd, fleeted up or divisioned up in the Grimyashi, both of us, and we've ended up on, surprise surprise, New Dawn. The enemy have got only one Bogue against our two carriers as we own a Langley. They've got one extra battleship than us, and we have more destroyers, so this could be a bit of an interesting match. We both get a relatively south spawn, so we can easily meet up together, and we decide to head along the south side of the map. The idea being to get in around those islands, down the southeast sort of corner or the south end, and try and ambush a battleship, or maybe a cruiser, depending what turns up first. Usually cruisers will run out across that south area, but preferably we'd like to tag a battleship, as they're much easier targets to hit with torpedoes. Right away, our carrier begins sending out, or one of our carriers begins sending out fighters to scout ahead. And you can tell just from looking at the wing compositions on the minimap which carrier is which. Still no sign of the enemy. And finally the first battleship gets lit by one of our carrier's fighter groups. Second pops up. Looks like the South Carolina's heading to the north, but the Wyoming is coming right for us. So if we can get in relatively close to this guy and get some torpedoes off, we'll be pretty happy. It looks like he's more or less alone as well, which will make our job easier. Obviously, you want to try and pick people who have separated themselves out from the bulk of their team. A battleship without support is more or less easy prey for decent destroyers, but if he's got any support at all, it's going to make our lives very difficult, because we're going to have to try and not get killed by him and his support. Now at this point, if you look in chat, one of the enemy destroyers, well, the enemy destroyer, the only one they've got, Space Dude, begins mouthing off about at least our carriers know how to scout. This will become relevant in a minute. Keeping the island between myself and the Wyoming, I get ready for an attack run on him. Ren's lagging slightly behind me because he went around the outside of the islands, not cutting the corner like I did. Looks like the St. Louis is coming back this way, but it's the only ship that has been spotted in support of this guy. The St. Louis is definitely scary to a destroyer, even the Grimyashi, but it's not something I need to worry about just yet, because he can't see me. Now, I could sit behind this island and wait for Ren, and really I probably should have in hindsight, but I was just so eager to jump on this guy that I dived straight in. Get set for a first spread of torps. This one will only hit him if he's not paying attention. If he has even the slightest bit of situational awareness, he will turn into those torps and evade them easily. For a moment here I thought I was going to get him, but as the St. Louis opens fire, the shots coming across his front seem to have tipped off the Wyoming, who turns into the torps, and sure enough they're all going to miss. But that's why I held my second spread, figuring that he might evade them, because, you know, US battleships turn quite well. I held my second spread for a much, much closer attack, one which he wouldn't be able to evade because he's already stuck in a hard overturn. Just like that, 3 hits, 2 of them cause flooding, and he's missing nearly all of his hit points. Now, he is repairing straight away, but I'm able to then burn him, which he extinguishes, so I now know he's out of damage control and he's using his repair. Ren launches some torps of his own, and I continue focusing this guy down with my guns. Now, probably I should have shifted my attention to St. Louis, knowing that Ren would finish this guy off, but I just wanted to get him dead as quickly as possible. And so I fire off another spread there. My other troops aren't quite reloaded yet, and so I'm going to hold on to them. Sure enough, Ren's torps find their mark, and now I've got my next set of torps ready for the St. Louis. In fact, pretty much perfect timing, accidentally. In fact, I didn't plan this out at all. My tubes are loaded right in time to put all 3 torps directly into his side at a range where he has no chance of evading them. Well, 2 torps actually. The third one skipped past his rudder. So I aimed it perhaps a little too far back, but close enough, it still killed him, so who cares. I did lose my engine there.
Engine boost deactivated.
But that's okay, because now there is nothing that's in a position to hit me, no immediate threats, and so I'm able to just sit here and wait until my damage control comes back up and hit that to get my engine going again. Not only that, but it lets Ren catch up with me a little. Now here I decide I'm going to dive on the carrier. He's looking pretty vulnerable out there by himself. But he actually gets chemoed by his own team. Space Dude was so furious that the carrier didn't scout, apparently, that he team killed him. So he just did our job for us and saved me some time. I won't have to go over there myself. And that lets me shift attention to this cluster of battleships up in the northwest. Now myself and Ren could just sit here and cap out. It's unlikely that this Clemson would be able to really do anything to us. But I decide it's much more fun to actually chase after the enemy ships and kill them, and so that's what we set about doing. Nearest target is a Tenryu, 6.5 kilometers away, and he's already hurting.
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
I decide to engage him with my guns while closing range for torpedo attacks on some of those battleships. Some nice Citadel hits there on the Tenryu. One more good hit should finish him off. And there we go.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
Meanwhile, the Arkansas has eaten a couple of torps from one of our other teammates, and so I engage the leading Arkansas. The trailing one is already damaged. Second spread goes towards him though. So we'll see what we can pick up out of this. Meanwhile though, the remainder of the enemy team is all bottled up in this corner here. There's going to be a lot of incoming fire. Ren just fired off his own torpedoes, slightly behind me. And at this point I'm very low on hit points, so I need to start trying to evade any incoming fire. The first thing that hits me will probably kill me. Ren, on the other hand, still has most of his hit points. He's doing pretty well. Looks like those torps are good on the trailing Arkansas. Pick up one hit there, and some flooding, and then I pick up a second hit on the lead Arkansas. 2 hits out of 6 fired torpedoes isn't really that bad considering the situation, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm then able to set one of these guys on fire before finally exploding. Meanwhile, Ren's torps are still on the way to the target. He might actually pick up a hit out of those. That looks pretty good. Sure enough, he cleans up one of the Arkansas, and he might even tag his second one. Yep, there's the hit. He's now got a Phoenix up in his shit though. Thankfully he has one spread of torps reloaded, and so he's able to fire them off as he circles around its side. Those are guaranteed to kill it. Or not. I'm actually surprised. Usually it only takes about 2 torps to kill a tier 4 cruiser. Sometimes it doesn't even take that, and you hit them with one and they'll go up. But I guess the second one might have just nicked the rudder and not really done much damage. In any case, the guy steered himself into an island and is on fire, so he's guaranteed to die anyway. And there he goes. Ren didn't get credit for the kill, but oh well, he did the majority of the work there. He's now got good shots at this Kuma. He's leading him a bit too much. It looks like the Kuma's travelling quite slowly. But he goes down before Ren's shells can find their target. The enemy have moved one cruiser and shortly one battleship onto our cap. They're the only two remaining ships. But we've now got two battleships and a cruiser on their cap, so there's basically no way we can lose this. The enemy have no means of resetting, and so pretty much all they're doing is delaying the inevitable. Pretty good destroyer game, pretty typical destroyer gameplay, at least in the hands of somebody with a bad case of impatience like me. Live fast, die young, do a lot of damage. It's what the Grimyashi excels at. With two full squadrons of Torp bombers, one American, one Japanese coming in, these guys are not long for this world, not least because Ren is also following up and will soon be in range to hit them. Our team may well cap out first though, in fact they probably will. And so that's a pretty convincing win. Ultimately, had their carrier not been team killed, I don't think the outcome of this game would have been much different at all. We probably would have just killed him first.